And we are back. You're listening to Black Talk Radio News with Scotty Reed. And this show is part of our series, Ending the Drug War. And tonight we are ending the drug war with Mr. James Gray, who visits us via Leap. And of course, again, check out their website. It's very informative. It has a lot of articles, videos, and you can get information not just from some professor who studied this in a classroom and, formed this opinion, or just looking at raw data. We're talking about people who are on the front lines or have been on the front lines of this drug war. Okay, who were faithful drug warriors, but along the way saw what sort of damage these policies are doing to our country and to our people, and they have decided to come together and educate the public on this very important issue. James, can you hear me?
Yes, and can.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Okay. Another issue that I wanted to bring up, because this is all also in the headlines, and it does tie into drug prohibition. I think the first person I heard say this was President George W. Bush, who said that when you buy drugs, you're supporting terrorism. Okay? And, I've heard other politicians say that as well. I've heard about possible partnerships from my local representative, Sue Myrick. She writes a lot, and she says, some of these terrorist organizations are working with the drug cartels and stuff like that, and that's evident by some of the car bombs that we've seen in Mexico. Those are her words. That's her assessment. But what I'm very worried about the loss of our civil liberties, okay? Now we've just passed a bill that the president is supposed to sign into law, giving the military power to detain U.S. citizens on American soil indefinitely if they are labeled an enemy combatant or thought to be an affiliate of Al-Qaeda. And I'm like, you know what? It's like I've been seeing this steady linking of drugs with terrorism, and I just don't think it'll be too far down the road if we keep on this path to where, if you're a drug dealer or whatever, that you might get labeled an enemy combatant. Now, I know that might sound far-fetched, but a lot of things seem far-fetched in the beginning, and then, as the time goes by, the wrong people get a hold of this power, and they use it how they want to.
Scotty, you're very right to be concerned about this. If you're fighting the war on drugs, that means that the so-called drug dealers are the enemy, and it's okay to do just about anything. You can lie in court because, they're the enemy, for heaven's sake. We can destroy our civil liberties for all the rest of that. But President Bush just had it backwards. It isn't the people that are buying the drugs that are supporting terrorism. It's the laws themselves. The biggest source of money for all terrorist groups around the world is what? The sale of illegal drugs. Afghanistan, in Liberia, in Brazil, certainly in our country as well. You can get whole governments. We went to war against Manuel Noriega, remember, in Panama, because he was having drugs come through his country. Now, of course, there are more drugs coming through even than when Noriega was there. It's the money that's doing it. And it used to be that, Al Capone and alcohol prohibition was a pretty bad dude. But as soon as we repealed alcohol prohibition, I wish we'd never gotten into it because we gave the mafia a foothold here in our country, but at least they're not selling alcohol to each other anymore. Plus, look at it this way, and the listeners listen too. Today, it is easier for our young people to get any form of illegal drug if they want to, that's the key, than it is alcohol. And we are leading our kids astray because today you do not see high school kids selling Jim Beam bourbon to each other in their high school campuses, but they're selling marijuana or methamphetamines all the time. Why? Because prohibition never works as well as regulation and control. So this is what we're going to do, and maybe spend the few remaining moments talking about, again, Regulate Marijuana Like Wine initiative in California. It's going to pass. It's going to sweep the country. It will be the beginning of the end of drug prohibition. And then I guarantee you and everyone listening to us that within 2 or 3 years after we pass this, and everyone will look back and be astonished, aghast, that we could have perpetuated such a failed system for so long.